The last 18 hours or so in the world of MMA, and specifically the UFC, have been a crazy roller coaster. There are a number of stories that we can lead with and we will hit on today, but the first one we're going to dive into is Jon Jones taking aim at Tom Aspinall in his latest social media rant. While it feels like the entire MMA community was up all night refreshing social media in order to find out the latest news on UFC 303 and the withdrawal of Conor McGregor, UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones was starting his latest online tirade. This time, the verbal assault was targeted at interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall, specifically after Jones claimed he was watching Aspinall's fight against Curtis Blaydes for the very first time. Jones went on to say, "I watched his fight against Curtis earlier today. Honestly, it was my first time seeing it. Your boy was getting that kicked. His knee blowing was the best thing that could have happened to him. I've learned over the years not to bet against American wrestlers. I'm going to laugh the hardest if your boy ends up losing." In the first bout between Blaydes and Aspinall, it ended very quickly as Aspinall suffered a severe injury just 15 seconds into their contest, and it's safe to say that Jones wasn't impressed with what he saw. Jones went on to say, "In the short time it lasted, Tom lost almost every exchange," later adding in a separate post that should Blaydes earn a flush knockout or TKO win via ground and pound in their upcoming rematch, I would not be surprised. Naturally, fans hit back at Jones for taking such a low blow shot at Aspinall over getting injured, but Jones responded by saying, "It's not even about the injury. It's about your boy getting touched up. Even the moment his knee popped, he was getting punched in the face. I'm just calling what I see. The fans get so impressed with the new guy. I look at what is actually happening. I look at the tactics. I don't hop on the train and get hyped like everyone else. Stay around for a while, start breaking records. That's when you get my full attention. I've seen this story too many times." With Jones refusing to face interim champion Tom Aspinall in favor of facing Stipe Miocic later this year, the British fan favorite returns to action next month to rematch Blaydes in front of his Manchester faithful at UFC 304. During the announcement of McGregor's withdrawal, Dana White announced that UFC light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira was stepping in on short notice to save the event, defending his title against Jiri Prochazka. Poatan won the vacant 205 title against Prochazka at UFC 295 this past November and defended it against Jamal Hill at UFC 300 this past April. Prochazka also competed on the milestone UFC 300 event, returning to the win column with a second-round finish over Alexander Rakic. Pereira wrote on his Instagram, "I know it's very close and I may encounter difficulties, but if anyone can make the impossible possible, it's me. That's why I'm that big name, Alex Poatan Pereira, because of my work ethic and all the risks I'm willing to take. The ancestors are with me, a great spirit is within me, I'm ready for it all." Now, the Brazilian champion has been in Australia on what seems to be a public profile building tour, making appearances at events and meeting with fans. But not only that, the 36-year-old also broke multiple toes during his UFC 300 title defense. Jiri Prochazka is sort of a rare breed. The eccentric former champion recently underwent another intense 3-day meditation ritual in which he locks himself in a dark room for 3 days with no food, no light, just simply focus.
But when you're in a long training camp, people think you're just going to train and go sit in your room and stare at a wall and think about the fight. Sit in your room, just stare at the wall. Go to training, sit in your room, stare at the wall, think about the fight.
The ritual has become somewhat of a staple to the 31-year-old's fight preparation along with training out in the forest, and he's hoping that it will result in him being the perfect storm on June 29th. Prochazka took to his Instagram and wrote, "The perfect storm, no space for mistakes, just win, now, here." I'm speaking for myself here, so if you disagree, feel free to comment down below. But there are not many fights that could replace the Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor fight in size and spectacle and just overall excitement for me than watching Alex Pereira fight. The mystique, the aura, just the nature by which he carries himself in the cage and out of the cage is something that really reminds me of being a Mike Tyson fan as an early kid. I can't wait to watch Alex fight, and every time he shows up, I'm willing to show up and watch the pay-per-view too. He's just that exciting of a fighter for me. And I really like Jiri Prochazka as well. I think the matchup is very even, but I think the way that the two fight and the way that Prochazka keeps his hands down, I'll be surprised if the result isn't the same as the first. But tell me what you think of the potential matchup. How do you see it going down? Does this get you excited? Are you more excited for this fight than you were the Chandler-McGregor fight? Khamzat Chimaev's manager releases a statement on why the popular middleweight had to withdraw from his Saudi Arabia fight. Chimaev has been suffering through a mystery illness that has hospitalized him multiple times throughout his fight camp. The UFC announced on Thursday night that Chimaev would not be competing in the main event of the first ever UFC card in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. CEO Dana White revealed that Khamzat was violently ill. Chimaev's manager followed that news up with a lengthy explanation saying, "It's with great disappointment that we have to announce that Khamzat Chimaev has been forced to withdraw from his scheduled fight against number 3 ranked Robert Whittaker on June 22nd. The persistent illness that Khamzat has been battling for major parts of training camp could not be cured in time. He has been in and out of hospitals several times. The condition has been kept within the team since everyone has been absolutely committed to finding a solution. Although all available options have been thoroughly considered, it has now come to the point where the team has mutually agreed that it's not possible to carry on like this. Stepping into the cage not properly prepared against such a formidable opponent as Robert is unfortunately impossible. This is a devastating turn of events for Khamzat, his coaches, training partners, and other members of the team. Headlining the UFC's first ever visit to Saudi Arabia was a great honor and something that was very much looking forward to. Although the cause is far beyond anyone's control, a sincere apology is extended to the UFC, Dana White, Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, Hunter Campbell, Robert Whittaker, and his team, and most importantly to the fans who were looking forward to the bout. Chimaev burst onto the international scene in 2020, winning his first 3 UFC fights in under 2 months. However, Khamzat has only managed to fight 4 more times since the start of 2021. In January 2024, he was hit with another illness that left him swollen, covered in spots, and on a ventilator. This latest withdrawal will raise questions about his ability to stay healthy through a tough training camp. Hopefully his team is able to pinpoint the issue and get the Chechen fighter back into top shape. Once Robert Whittaker got the news, he said he was very disappointed as he spent months working on a very specific game plan for Chimaev. He was also extremely confident that he would get his hand raised and hand Chimaev his first loss. Whittaker said, quote, "I flew out here and I understand I'm the main event of the card that comes with a level of responsibility. It's how I earn my living. I wanted to fight. I wanted the show to go on and I wanted to do my job. So hats off to Ikram for taking the fight and to the UFC for setting it up, and I look forward to putting on a show." Once Khamzat was out, Whittaker says there was never a thought of not fighting. Although Whittaker is facing an unranked opponent, the Aussie said he wanted to be part of UFC Saudi Arabia, so he told the UFC to find an opponent. Ultimately, the UFC was able to get Whittaker a fight. However, the former champ says there weren't many options as a couple of fighters turned it down due to short notice. Now let's take a look at the top 3 comments left on yesterday's video. And as expected, Conor McGregor took a beating in the comment section. This person says, "I pray Conor doesn't come back. I'm so done with him. All Conor loves is attention." At SJCobra84 says, "In the future, Michael Chandler as an old man with a walking stick still begging to fight crackhead McChicken." Oh yeah, SJCobra84? Well, fun fact, Conor doesn't do crack. He does cocaine. There's a difference. And at Butthole Warts, what a great name, says, "Apparently Conor had a nasal injury when somebody hit him with an 8-ball. If you want your comments highlighted on tomorrow's video, simply comment down below. We'll highlight the top best comments, good, bad, or indifferent, and feature them in tomorrow's video. And that does it for today's video, but make sure you're liking this video, subscribing to this channel, and clicking the bell notification so you can get notified every time we drop a new video. And in case you missed it, check out yesterday's news.